From dropping absolute bangers like No Flex Zone and Black Beatles, to becoming so irrelevant that nobody was even aware of their last album dropping. The story of Rae Sremmurd's downfall is a perfect example of how egos can easily rip a group apart, no matter how close the parties involved were to each other. Cause as you may know, Slim Jimmy and Sway Lee were just two broke brothers from Tupelo, Mississippi with big dreams, and an unbreakable bond who would constantly support each other through thick and thin.
This is a crazy story. One time he took the bully of the neighborhood's girlfriend, right? And I'm the one who had to fight him.
Even if it meant being thrown out of their mama's house for constantly skipping school to record, they were willing to do anything it took to make it to the mainstream. As time went on, the brothers teamed up with a group known as Them Outta Straight Boys in the late 2010s, dropping music that sounded similar to that of Soulja Boy or LMFAO. Left with no option but to keep trying to make their dreams a reality, the brothers lived in a house with no heat, no gas, and they kept working day after day trying to get someone to pay attention to their music.
We was living in this little abandoned house, and we wasn't gonna be sad in no abandoned house because that's just gonna make worse. So we just, making music, inviting friends over, inviting girls over, partying, loud music.
Sway Lee even claimed that at one point they were so down bad that his ex ended up leaving him for a truck driver. Despite the fact that they had a relatively difficult come up, the two remained adamant on not doing music for money, but rather it was to simply have fun. But in 2013, everything changed. Through sheer persistence and hard work, they somehow managed to grab the attention of Mike Will Made It, who helped them ink a deal with Eardrummers Entertainment. So the brothers packed up their belongings and started a new life in Atlanta without a second thought.
When they heard us and they gave us like an opportunity to leave Tupelo, Mississippi and just come to Atlanta and just keep making songs off their beats. And we left our crib and everything. Yeah. And just took the risk.
After coining the name Rae Sremmurd by putting a creative spin on Eardrummers, the two would go on to release their debut project titled Srem Life on January 6th, 2015. And two songs off this album called No Flex Zone and No Type absolutely exploded into the mainstream. Two songs that combined for a whopping 1.3 billion views on YouTube alone. Now, later in this video, we'll discuss how hits like these were actually a double-edged sword and would also play a role in their downfall. But it was here where they immediately caught the attention of the masses, precisely because it, quote, didn't sound like anything else. The album hit the ground running, landing at number 5 on the Billboard charts, instantly making them the life of every party playlist. Next thing you know, the two were everywhere. Cover of The Fader, interviews with Nardwuar, Breakfast Club, Tim Westwood, world tours, you name it. They went from being complete nobodies the year prior to having their songs played all over the radio, with both critics and fans idolizing them like crazy. Of course, like many overnight stars, they also had their fair share of criticism.
Raul Smith, what the fuck is this? Seriously, what the actual fuck is this? Is this what you kids call rap music nowadays? This shit is garbage, man.
However, for the most part, they remained positive and would constantly maintain the focus of just keeping it simple, making what they thought was good music.
Yeah, we just making great music. We ain't trying to make mathematical music or nothing like that. We just dropping music that's just gonna make you be like, damn.
By the time they dropped their Srem Life 2 project in 2016, it looked like nothing could stop them. Or more accurately, that they could stop the whole world with a track like Black Beatles, which gained massive popularity as it became synonymous with the Mannequin Challenge. That girl is a real crowd, please. Not only did the track secure its place as their debut #1 single, but they were one of the first artists to really showcase how songs can absolutely explode if you couple it with some kind of stupid trend on social media. And mind you, this was literally a decade before TikTok even became a thing.
And we started like the whole challenge era.
Oh yeah, the viral
maybe
challenge.
kicked off the TikTok video wave, you know what I'm saying? Before TikTok. Yeah, pre-TikTok.
We made TikTok.
It's no exaggeration to say that at that point in time, Rae Sremmurd were one of the hottest things in hip-hop. And between 2014 and 2018, they never released a single that went less than gold over time. That's pretty insane. And with that kind of track record, it seemed unimaginable that they would ever part ways. However, the same reasons they rose so meteorically were the same reasons their empire began to crash and burn. The first problem Rae Sremmurd began to encounter was something known as the sidekick effect. This is something that a YouTuber by the name of Babalam described perfectly.
A phenomenon by which a rapper duo, usually labeled loosely as a collective or frequent unofficial collaborators, rise to fame together in a meteoric fashion due to their strong chemistry, However, as one artist eventually starts to outpace the other in streams or fame, the other tends to be almost forgotten entirely.
When you think back to any song that you can remember from the duo, it's one thing and one thing only: Sway Lee's hooks. It was Sway's hook that became a staple amongst the Mannequin Challenge videos, which made Black Beatles a #1 smash worldwide. And the same can be said for songs like No Type and No Flex Zone, all of which Slim Jimmy's verses are pretty forgettable. And unfortunately for Ray Sremmurd, this is where the problems began. One user summed it up good when he wrote, "With all honesty, we know Sway Lee is the star of Ray Shrem, and he gave Mike Will a lot more buzz in hip-hop ever since No Flex Zone came out. Slim Jimmy is important, but Sway Lee is the main success here." While some fans truly did enjoy Slim Jimmy's presence, the intensity of this chatter ramped up to the point that they began lashing out against it in interviews. For instance, in 2016, Slim Jimmy spoke to Complex about the forces that he felt were out to destroy their bond and tear them apart. "The whole industry is going to do shit to separate us. We got separate tracks because we can both rap." After Black Beatles came out, the secret was out that Sway Lee had the melodies that had the power to move major units. Without even trying, he ended up as a co-writer on one of the biggest smashes of Beyonce's career. After giving the idea to Mike Will Made It, suddenly, Sway had his first Grammy nomination, and that's a feat that Ray Sremmurd have still never managed to this day. But that was only a drop in the ocean compared to the love Sway would get for his work on Unforgettable featuring French Montana. Billed the Song of the Summer almost the second it came out, Sway Lee completely carried this track, and it became one of the most iconic moments of his entire career, with some joking that without Sway, the song would just be forgettable. While the Beyonce assist was relatively low-key, having Sway's hook playing from speakers all over the world made him a star, in a way that he was removed from the Ray Sremmurd name. Suddenly, Sway had his own Wikipedia page, while Slim still doesn't have one to this day. With Unforgettable taking over the world, the talk turned back to the possibility of Sway breaking out on his own, with notable figures in the commentary space such as Joe Budden saying,
"Hey Slim Jim, hate to break it to you, buddy.
In any group,
Y'all are separating."
However, the boys continued to maintain that there were no issues between them that had led to this, even confronting Joe Budden face to face for his comments.
This is what you said. Jimmy, Sway gonna leave you. This is how you was talking. When Sway leave you, you just gonna flop. Man, you got me, man, all the way messed up. We brothers though, you know what I'm saying? So like, this ain't the first time people done said that about me. This been going on for a long time.
With everything that was about to come, revisiting that moment seems like Sway was maybe a little too quiet. As from here, Sway would be a go-to guy from hooks, while Jimmy had to fend off accusations of jealousy. In the interviews, he tried to stress that it wasn't his lil bro's success that bothered him, but the world's perspective on how he should feel about it. If people see me out and I have a stank face on, they think I'm mad because of that. But I'm mad because they want me to be mad. I'm always singing Unforgettable when it comes on in the club, but people look at me like, is it okay if I dance to this? There's no competition, we're brothers. At the end of the day, we're getting a bag. Now, Jimmy might have felt like this at the time, but around that same period, Sway's mind was likely set on greener pastures, to the point that he wasn't even reserving his biggest tracks as collabs between him and his brother anymore, and was looking for big names like Justin Bieber to fulfill the role he was looking for. But considering that Sway Lee clearly wanted to carve out his own musical identity at this point, it was no surprise that their third album, Shrem Life 3, was a little different in terms of structure. Dropped on May 4th, 2018, the boys dropped an entire 3-disc album. One filled with Ray Sremmurd tracks, one made up of solely Sway Lee songs, and another where Slim Jimmy took center stage. The result felt like a compromise, and it made for one of the most inconsistent bodies of work in their catalog. While it seemed like the fact that they managed to drop an album together meant that they were on the same page, it would soon become clear that it didn't do anything to soothe the mounting unease between Jimmy and Sway. In January of 2019, just 7 months before their third album dropping, Slim Jimmy took to Twitter for an explosive series of posts. Delivered just hours after they had wrapped up a performance in Australia with Nicki Minaj, Jimmy spoke out and formally left the group, saying things like he's not Shrem Life and that he's gonna sink or swim by himself. Even going as far as to retweet a fan who claimed that he was giving the haters what they wanted, and responded to someone who said that it had happened because Sway left him off another hit. It basically showed that after years of the world acting like he played second fiddle to his younger brother, Jimmy had enough. When a tweet from the duo's official account said that they were still together after all, he dismissed it. It didn't take long for Jimmy's posts to all be deleted, but there was something broken at that moment that the label nor Swae Lee could quite cover up. Even after he told the world that only real ones know what was really going on between them, as well as the fact that they were going to be brothers forever, what definitely didn't help was how the world responded to the news of Jimmy's departure, where everyone seemed like they just didn't care he left. Slim Jimmy is like cardboard in a roll of toilet paper. It's not totally necessary, but I don't mind that it's there. I think he feels as if he's in Swae's shadow. Even other rappers such as Trippie Redd replied to an IG post covering the story where he wrote, "He finally realized we only listening to Swae's parts, LMAO." Just months after that incident, and with no sign of Srem Life 4 dropping, Swae Lee would go on to release Sunflower with Post Malone, which was yet again another record-breaking hit, and became Swae's first track as a soloist to hit #1. Since then, it's gone on to have the 4th highest streams in Spotify history with nearly 3 billion. This would be another notch that would lead the industry and fans making a case for Swae Lee as king of the hooks, as not only being one of the most valuable guest spots in the genre, but once again, the driving force behind Rae Sremmurd's success. Once again, it felt like Jimmy was being collectively kicked while he was down. At the same time, he would still return to Twitter again to cite that he and Jimmy were good and that more solo work was on the way, as well as the long-awaited Srem Life 4. But as we would learn, this was a half-truth at best. Whether he had intentionally did it or not, Swae Lee left his brother struggling to get any semblance of credit for everything they had achieved. Meanwhile, he reaped the rewards of that time period where it seemed like everything he touched just turned to gold, as Jimmy's life began spiraling out of control. Over time, he had numerous scrapes with the law, including his involvement in a brawl where a man was stabbed and he was seen fleeing covered in blood. Later in 2022, he was arrested on domestic battery charges, with his baby mama posting receipts online. While this was all going down, Swae Lee's solo album still failed to materialize, and some of his singles like Sextasy never really took off, even with the help of a Drake feature. In fact, that one spawned a legendary meme from Joe Budden.
Hey, Swae Lee, hear me and hear me good, nigga. I'm here to double down. That shit is a 2-pack of ass. The fuck are you talking about? That shit stinks.
With tracks like these failing to launch, it looked like Swae's hopes of releasing Human Nature, which he once built as a revolutionary project, were dwindling.
It's gonna be huge, like, I'm breaking all the rules, I'm breaking all the boundaries, you know what I'm saying? I'm just, like, making my own song formats and everything, like, doing some production on there and everything, got crazy features, like, some of my favorite artists are on there, so.
But soon, music would be the furthest thing from either of the brothers' minds when tragedy would strike. After horrific news broke that Swae Lee's dad passed away, and you'll never guess who pulled the trigger.
My dad, my pops, he passed away recently. I have 3 brothers. Allegedly, the police say my youngest brother, he shot my dad, like, killed my dad, like, and it's like my brother killed my dad. It's like unbelievable, like you can't even imagine, like it's like something out of a movie, you know? I'm still dealing with it, like I don't even know how to deal with it all the way completely, like it's traumatic, like, but it's like, it just put like fury inside you, it put like fire inside you.
Left to grieve their father and all the pain that came with their family being destroyed like that, Swae Lee's output slowed down to just random features, while Slim Jimmy remained inactive. Eventually, the two would regroup and reunite publicly, finally dropping Srem Life 4 in April of 2023. But looking at the less than stellar reviews, the absence of a hit song, and a chart position peaking at number 28, it seemed like the peak of their musical career might be behind them. The album performed worse than any of their previous works in terms of first week sales, and that unique spark and excitement that used to define their music isn't as vibrant as it once was.
It is the most terrible Rae Sremmurd project yet. I am feeling a light 2 on it.
During the promo circuit for the album, Swae basically acted like his solo run didn't ever threaten to eclipse Rae Sremmurd, and that it was always about the duo.
No matter what I do, like, I always think about Rae Sremmurd, you know what I'm saying? I want to be Rae Sremmurd, like, you know what I'm saying? But even when I'm branching off doing other things, it's like, I'm always coming home to Rae Sremmurd, you know what I'm saying? Like, Rae Sremmurd's my baby, my bass, like, shit, me and bro, we rocking, we came out the hood together.
As for Jimmy, the time away from the spotlight gave him time to reflect on the sense that Sway was more important to the group than he was. And for a while, Jimmy totally believed this to be the case too.
I felt like I wasn't carrying my weight as an artist, and I'm very critical of myself, you know what I'm saying? I never even felt like it was a thing of importance because I'm not in competition with him. Like I done made it from nothing. We came from Mississippi, like we came from nothing. We made it so far away.
Even if the industry was happy to leave his brother to slowly sink into obscurity, Sway Lee wasn't going to do that. And not enough credit is given to him for standing by his brother's side. Maybe it was regret over what had happened, his father's death putting things into perspective, or Sway realizing that the brand was simply stronger together. They're back together for better or worse. At the moment, both of them are talking about solo projects, but the buzz for those is way lower than it would have been in previous years.